Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, Architect's Maze. Hope you're all well. Sorry it's been a while, I've been busy doing this course and I couldn't really think of any videos to sort of topics to put out. I know we need to do one on sort of bunkering and stuff, but I wanted to look at planting efficiency and how to get a lot more out of your planting really. A lot of people say certain designers have they got a cheat? Have they got more um, memory than other people? And it's just a case of no, we're all got the same. It's really a case of just being efficient with what you're doing, um, not going too mad on too many um, different types of trees. Keep them to a minimum. As long as you're mixing them up and changing angles and heights and not repeating patterns, you can do a lot with 4 or 5 trees at most. Same with grasses, keep it as minimum as you can. Just change the angles a lot, change the heights. I think I'm only using 2 different grasses on this. Um, we're on 87% of the objects, but we've got this area of the course to do. Now that might seem tight, and it is, but from what I've laid down so far, I've done a hell of a lot of planting and a hell of a lot in the clubhouse area with lots of different stuff. Um, the whole thing has been laid out. We've got all sorts of stuff going on, benches and patios and buggies and railings and all different loads of different clubhouses, tennis courts, parking areas, cars, swimming pool, and zebra crossings, whatever you call them, pedestrian crossings. We got some um, stuff for the maintenance on the course, which I've still got to do some path work for that. We've got a road coming in, we've got a road all the way around the course going all the way back out and off to over here. We have got um, all these little houses in behind, all these little huts for guests. It's like a little complex just set on the coast. We've obviously got all the grasswork, benches, ball washers, everything like that. So you can see there's a lot going on. So let's have a look at our itinerary of what we've got placed. So we're using predominantly this bush, and this bush up on the top left. The rest are all just little ones thrown in around the tee box to give it the impression that there's a lot more going on. The trees we're mainly using is, let's get out on the course so I can get a better look at it for you. That one, all the tall ones really, that one, that one, 2 pines, which is that one, and a couple of the spruces are the main ones I'm using. The rest are all just thrown in little places just to add a little bit of character and break it up. Like I said, you only want to use those sparingly. So really the main things to give yourself a chance is you got 3 things in your arsenal that can save you space. Obviously, well, no, let's say 4. Obviously, it's your layout. If you can make it as tight as you can in between fairways, then you're going to minimise the amount of planting you have to do in between your fairways. So let's look for a place where there's lots. See, this was a big area to cover. If I was going to plant all that, I would have been really struggling. So my things in my arsenal, I've got cart paths. They don't really cost me anything, and I've got a big area there which I haven't got to plant anything. Also, I put a cart path coming through there, so I haven't got to plant anything. I've got a bit of water there, which I don't really have to plant anything in that area. So I've saved quite a lot of space. I've left little bits, well not really, I haven't really left many places, but they're things in your advantage. So again, this was a big area to cover, but I had to cover that one. I couldn't really see much way around that. But by putting the green from the next hole in that area there, that saved me a lot of area again to cover. Putting the tee box in that same bit. So between that 16 and 4, we've got a green and a tee box, cart paths and water. So we've saved ourselves a lot of area there. That's probably one of the bigger areas to cover. Again, we've got this area here between 13 and 17. So again, we've got a green and a tee box, lots of cart paths and some water. So we're always looking at, I mean, this again, this huge area here between the road and 13. Put a great big bit of water in there. It doesn't really cost me anything and just frees me up with loads of space. There's no planting that I need to do in there. Also gives me a nice backdrop for this hole here later on. So you can see what I'm trying to do with the efficiency of trying to put things next to each other. So we got down to about here. We planted, see, or I got this lime. I planted halfway down the course and I did all this first. So I got to this point here and I wanted to be at about 50%. I think I ended up on about 61 or something. But bearing in mind I have got that whole clubhouse area which is going to produce quite a bit. Okay, so we got to this part now. We had 39% to do the rest. Okay, so we've started working on there. On this point now, I've covered this whole area obviously down to here. So we're on 87. So we've used about 18% to do that. So we've got about 13% left to do the rest. So scratching my head, obviously I had to do something here, so I did add another little bit of water there. But I may fill that in because I think it looks a bit weird. So what I'd come up with is this area is a lot lower down on the course. You sort of climb up and it's a little bit higher at the other end and it's a lot more forests and sort of tree lined areas. As we drop down here, I'm going to make it a little bit more sand dune. So this is where my let's put a bit heavy rough in there. This is where my sort of terrain painting comes in. So we've got this whole area needed filling. So I've saved myself a huge amount of area just by putting in some sand dunes. Again, sand dunes, sand dunes, sand dunes all the way through. And now I'm saving us so much more on my planting by doing that. So when we come to here, which is the hole I'm working on at the moment, you can see how I've got sort of this area to do and this area to do. And I'm on 87.1, so I really want to get to sort of no more than 89 really to cover that. And I'm going to have to start shifting some of these holes closer to what I'm doing. These can all come over a little bit, everything can come over. I then might just move that road over a bit and run it off through here. And then I have, these are all agenda, I'll just, well I can't see, well I've got to change the filters to do that, but I'll just bring the auto gens back to sort of here, cut them off there so it fills in that whole area with the road over. So I've just got to be more efficient in this last section with my layout, making sure everything's nice and tight and my areas in between are very minimal, and I'm using these sand dune effects to really fill it in. So this whole area can be sort of more the sand dune part of the course, and then you climb back up into the more tree lined area of the course. So you can see we've done an absolute ton of planting everywhere. So everything's been filled in, every every cart path has been grass lined and filled in with the odd little plants and things like that. We've left loads of little areas again through here. Obviously we've got our cart paths coming off. We've got a little cart path running through here to a little place where boats can be lowered into the water for stuff like that. You can sort of see it from the green. It's not really doing much, but it saved me a bit of space. Um, so they're the sort of ideas of what we're looking at. So let's go back to what was I on 16? So yeah, by doing that, it's a sort of calculating and managing the best you can. I tend to go over because I go a bit crazy with my planting, as you can see how much grass I've used. So for a good example, let's click on this bit of grass, select all. It's going to take a while to do this because the computer's going to struggle because it's literally a huge amount of grass has been used. So if it doesn't click out of it soon, I'll just back off and we'll do something different on looking at the planting. So let's give it some time. Have a sip of my coffee. But yeah, this course is really sort of occupied me time at the moment, and coming up with different tutorials, I sort of end up brushing over the same thing a lot of the time. So this is something that I thought might be quite prudent in looking at while I'm designing this course. So selected items, again it's going to take a little while for the computer to catch up, or the PS5, that's what I design them. Well, for example, you can see how much grass I've used in the course if we come up. So it's just stacks and tons of it. Look how slow it's working. There's a whole heap of it. And a good way to do this, the reason why I'm doing this is because it shows you what you're getting out of what you've planted. Sometimes I can look at a certain grass that I've planted all the way around. This is my main bulky grass. I've got a secondary grass that I'm using. And if I did get to the point where I looked at this calculation and thought, I can get rid of that grass, I could select them all and just delete that particular grass and then just look at maybe putting bushes in those particular areas and stuff like that. Stuff that's going to save me a hell of a lot on object meters. Sorry, this is going to take forever to catch up. Probably shouldn't have done it, but we're wasting time. But there you go. It's not the most quickest of tasks to do, so you just got to be patient and stop pushing buttons. But yeah, you can see looking from above on the right there, just below the green height, we've got the original Ogen sort of heavy rough, and then the grass topsoil that I'm putting in little clumps around to break up the texture and give it a little bit more realism. So I've got to do that around that whole top right section where it says whole totals on the right top there. That will all be done with grass topsoil. I tend not to spline it because it all goes uniform one colour, and it just doesn't. You have to reduce the intensity to bring it down. You can do it that way, but I tend to prefer to use brush tools for that. Some of the really fuzzy ones, and just drop it in funny angles and different ways, and you tend to get those darker green clumps that you've got where the measurement marker is, and you get those three clumps next to above that water there, and then the rest all fades off into different stuff. So this is going to take forever. But I don't think it's even going to let me select. I've already clicked delete on those, didn't I? Selected items? Oh no, maybe not. Delete selection. How quick's it going to do that? So what we're really doing with this is, where we're on 87.1, we're going to see the efficiency of that grass and how much it drops down to on the objects after I've deleted it. I only chose that grass because I know it's my main bulky grass. I should have probably chose the other one to show you as an example, because there's so much of it on here that it's going to struggle to do it with any efficiency or speed. So we're kind of wasting time and I'm kind of rambling. But I've got a coffee so I can have a little bit while we're waiting. I'm sure you get the idea of what I'm trying to say. It's just a good way that you can pick on a particular thing you've planted, select it all, delete that selection, and just see what it does. There's been previous courses that I've done where I've planted a particular bush all over the course, quite a lot, and I've just looked at it and thought, can I get rid of that one? What's that going to give me if I select and delete them all? And it's see where I've done one bush, it might have deleted it by about 4%, and I've done probably the same amount of planting with a different type of bush and it's deleted it by 14%. So the efficiency between the two is okay. That one's costing me a lot more, and it's not really giving me anything special. So I'll delete that and I'll fill it in with the other one that was only giving me 4%, and by the time I've done that whole filling in, it might have been 8%, so I've saved 5% overall. That's quite a lot. You know, you can do at least 2 holes, I reckon, with 5%, depending on how much you're going to do. This is taking too long. I'm going to see if I can back out of it. Yeah, we have. It's just taking too long. But I think I've explained the point there. So in here, we're going to try and do this as efficiently as we can. We're going to try and get this whole area done in under, well, don't want to be no more than 89 by the time I've done it. So it's not a hell of a lot to it, but all I've done is sink some areas down, as you can see there and there, and I'm going to use these ridges to plant my bushes and trees and stuff. Well, we won't be using trees, but we'll be using bushes. So we're going to break them up, put some different colours in for texture, get them down as low as we can, not too big, overlap them a bit so you don't have, it looks like they're joined and you don't just have like patterns appearing. You go in dark, light, dark, light, dark, it just looks silly. So get that in there, maybe put one just above, get that in. So that's pretty much that done. And now I just need to fill in this area around here. Probably only going to go up to about here. Make sure that's covered. And then we'll start off with looking at it from the green. I'm going to see that. I don't want it too high. We will be running, so all I'm doing is I'm laying in these trees and then I'm adding little fringes of grass around the edge just to finish it off. So get one in there. And we'll go back to the lighter colour now. And then we've got a third bush that we're using for sort of higher points here and there, and it's a bit darker and it adds another texture again. But we can achieve a load with this. If you look in the background, it's pretty much all the same, but it looks like there's a lot going on. Just by twisting the grasses and adding surface weather in and little points here and there on the terrain painting. It's been a godsend, obviously, the terrain painting, because for reasons like this we can use so much more to our advantage and get a hell of a lot more out of our planting. We can fill in areas that we couldn't before. We can make things look more detailed when it's not costing us anything. So 2K did a brilliant job with that. Something that we probably never really, well, maybe some designers thought of that, but I didn't really think of a terrain painting, but now it's here. Yeah, it's a superb idea. And it could go further, I think, now. I would like to see the ability to blend heavy roughs and things like that, but they're just little things. Well, I think they'd make a big difference. So we've used 0.1% so far, and we've pretty much done that whole area. Now the grass is going to cost me the most. I'm going to put one in here just to close off that little bit there, leave that through there. So one more thing to add a little bit more texture with the terrain painting is I'm going to add a bit of this. I'm going to make it quite a big path, spline it in, just round all these edges. We'll put a bit in there. We'll just add a little bit of darkness to those edges there, give it another bit of texture that we want to create, and it's not costing me anything. Wrong one. So yeah, just round all those edges of your planting. We'll do something else in a minute. Get those in, and we'll do one more here. Round there, back. So that's giving us like the shading we want, the darker bit coming down on those steeper edges and leaving the middles clear. You know, it's giving us a drop off point. Now we're going to do just to border that. Where can I start? Up here. I'm just going to add our path, our grass work in. So this will be the main crux of the object usage, obviously, because I'm putting in quite a bit of grass. So that's going to be the main point of. Now the coast is over there. Most of the breeze is going to be coming that way, so I'm leaving these facing that way on this particular one. We'll carry it on to about here. The other side's already been done, so that's an advantage. I've already done that. We'll come through here. Just change the angle slightly on it there, just so it's blowing into there. Dropping these little bits through here, and then we'll do one at the back along the edge of the cart path. Now to do that before, if I hadn't have started using the terrain painting to get the spaces I want, I'd have to been using grass and everything to fill this in. So I'm going to be using that, come all the way along a bit close there. That'll cover that. 87.4. This is where it will start to shoot up a bit now because of the grass, but that's why I'm only fringing the grass now. I've used it throughout the rest of the course, so I've got to incorporate it into these holes. It'd be nice to, I mean, I could leave it with bushes, but we've done so much detail with this grass already that it'd be stupid to leave it out. You'd look at the course and you'd think, oh, that was planted to the max. This side isn't planted at all. You obviously run out of memory, so we don't want that. We will fill in this area here, but we'll change the angle again to something like this for a minute. And then just one more here. We'll change it again just to put that in there. Now on these little areas here, I'm not going to see it too much there, but looking through here, just on these little corner sections, they ain't going to cost me anything. I'm just going to add one higher grass here, so it looks like there's different sorts of grass there because it's catching the sun behind. You put in this one here like that. That's that. We'll also look for areas from our putt if we're looking this way. So something just off the edge here would look quite nice. And across here, that grass looks a bit thin through that section, so I'm just going to run another course of it through. I can just put a bit of that there. And what way is that facing? That way. But this time we'll just run another little course along there, but we'll shape it the other way, so like that. A bit higher, a bit denser through here. Just to get that. And then if we look back from the green, hopefully that's going to look a bit more denser. So that's pretty much that section done now. It cost us, what would be 0.3%. So that's good. Now, any last finishing touches we can do is add a little bit of surface weathering with the fuzzy brush, which I said is the one I've been using a lot at the moment. If I click that in there, it's just going to put it in random places. Obviously I can choose the main bulk of the areas that I want to see that. So that top bit that's over by the pin there, that always ends up quite dense. And if I go back over the pin, this area and that area are the two bits that it sort of throws down the heaviest effect. So I'll try and line those up with there. So we've got quite a bit there, that's nice. It just makes it more random. It gives you the sense that there's only weathering in certain places. Obviously when I'm looking at weathering, I'm looking for the highest points that are going to get the most weathering. So on top of the bunkers, they're more exposed than the lower parts of the fairway, so they're going to get a bit more weathering coming off the back of them. And then you can look at these higher points here. This is the highest point of the fairway there, so you're going to get, I don't want that bit on the green, I just want to cover the fairway here, so we'll spin it around the other way. So that's going to get quite a bit more. So that's pretty much, there's a high point here, put a bit there, and there's a high point. We've done those high points there, so that's fine for weathering. Don't want to go too mad. I have got to do a bit around the green quickly, so we'll just do that. So I have to do it while I'm seeing it, otherwise I'll miss it and forget it. I'm a bit insane like that. It can take ages to do stuff doing it like this. If your brain works like this. Edit, and we'll go up. 31's my number that I'm doing just to blend in the edges a little bit. It's really just to lighten the light rough around the fringe. 31's my number. Yeah, it just blends in that between the fairway and the green a little bit nicer, I think. But let's go back to here. So I'd already done that bit of terrain painting through there. So let's see what we can do here. Obviously being a high point, I can just put in some banks of terrain paint in here of sand, and then put some bigger bits of sand through here and leave that high one free. So we're looking at the lower parts. So if we go to terrain painting, oh no, sand, let's get it in. Do we take it all the way up? No, we're going to leave a tiny little border just between the heavy rough and there. Drop that in there. We can leave some little bits like that just to put some extra planting in. So there we go, that's that bit in. So now we're going to do our dipping thing. So we go to raise, we go to a shape like this, and we'll start dipping some stuff down to give it some character. Also, if you are right off there, you're going to get kicked into there. Right off your drive, you're going to get kicked into that little area. So that will act as like a bunker and an effect as well. So now we're going to go back to the same process as what we just did. We're looking at the ridges to cover. So really I've got that whole area now, and I only really need to plant along the edge of this topsoil, that ridge and that ridge, and that's covered half the hole really. Trees, same process again. We've got another hole 12 there, which if we look at it, it's going to be a par 3. That needs to come into this area, so by raising up these banks and stuff, we're creating a bit of a character already. We'll worry about that at another point. Let's get this planting in. That's the emphasis of the video. Yeah, it's going to be, I mean, with these tutorials, the good thing about it for my channel is there's lots of stuff that people can go back on and look at, and there's quite a lot of information to take on, and you can re-watch videos. So I don't really need to post constantly, because as long as when I do post it's something different, I'm not regurgitating the same sort of stuff over and over. So bear with me. I'm nearly on 300 subscribers now, so that's been my goal for a little while to get to the next milestone. So thanks for everybody who subscribed, really appreciate it, and it keeps me more interested to keep going. If I'm getting the subscribers and people are watching it and there's a benefit to it for everybody, then I'm really happy, and it's something that I enjoy doing. So hopefully we can keep up with it and we'll keep getting subscribers and it'll just keep on growing. But like I said, in that respect, there's only so much I can really sort of cover. It's just coming up with different topics. So if anyone's got any particular thing that they would like done that I haven't done already, obviously I do have to delve into bunkers. I don't think I've done one on bunkers apart from Carnarvon Dunes, that course. So that's pretty much that section done. We'll go back to our third bush, which was this one. We'll just add that in on the higher points there. Give that one, I think I will be putting one back here somewhere. Spin it around, slightly different angle. There. So now we're just going to go back to our grass swing again. And we've pretty much covered a good chunk of that hole. And then we'll have a look at the drive from the tee box. What time am I on? 31, we're halfway through. Cool. Alright, let's go here. So we'll spin it that way, because that's going to be dipping down in there. That's all protected by that wind coming off the coast, so I don't have to shape the grass that way. I can shape it this way this time. Drop a bit in there. This time you might get a bit of a wind blowing through there on the lower point, so we'll shape that bit of grass that way. Might get blown there. You don't have to be as intense with your grass planting as this, but it's going to make a huge difference to how it looks. If you can just run little courses in and then twist it and run another tiny little course in grass, then when you do look at the grass, it's going to look cool. You're going to get an effect where you've got not much going on there, but you just got grasses running in every direction. I'm trying to find a good example of it. You know, it just doesn't all look the same way all the time. You're just breaking it up a little bit and giving it different movement, and when you look off the tee, it doesn't look like you've just literally just slammed down loads in one direction. So it does help. It doesn't take long just to go a little course like that and then twist it again. So we're on 85%. We've used 0.5% so far to do this hole, and really we haven't got loads more to do. So that's that. We've got this big chunk of area here which I'm going to have to fill in with bushes, but we'll do that in a second. So then we're going to go back to our same scenario of doing the brush technique on that one. We'll click those 2 points there. The higher points are obviously going to get the surface weather in, so we'll make sure that they've got the most of it. And that should be that. That's fine for now. So obviously we've got all these little areas here, and I could run grass all through there, but that's going to cost me a lot. So in that scenario, I would just use my fillers. Come off there because we're on the wrong one. We want trees. My main fillers just to break all that area up. Now that one, it's not going to cost me hardly anything. These bushes. So I'm saying you have to find efficient fillers that are going to do a huge amount of coverage for you, and not going to cost you a lot. And the two I'm using, mainly my two staple ones throughout most of my designs. They just do so much for me and enable me to throw loads of detail in little places that I need to. So we'll just keep working this one round just to finish this section off, and then we're really only on that last section then, on the back right. our goal is not to be over 89 to finish this hole, because that would be a disaster. We're doing alright. Doing alright so far. Getting to where we need to be. So through here we will lay them down. I just find if you can sink them quite low, you can get a nice little transition between the sand and the bush itself. If I raise it too high, it doesn't do much, but if I get it nice and low to about that sort of height, those little bottom bits start peering through and gives it a nice bit of blending by the time I run the grass around the edge of that. And also it gives me, or gives the player, a bit more of a vista rather than blocking everything in with bushes. You've got to pick the points that you want them to see and lower in the points that you don't want them to see. Or is it the other way around? You get my point. Okay, so that's that. Now I have got a different bush which is the same as that one on the top left there, which is that one, and it just gives a little bit more colour. It's the same shape, does the same job, but it's going to add a little bit more colour, and because I'm in the sun there, right high up on that peak of that mound, I want a nice little bit of colour up there, just to break up the dark bushes that I've put in. Now we can go to the other one, this one, throw in a little bit more dark in there, just so we've got 3 different textures going through there now. That's that one. And then we could put one right at the top of the hill up here. We'll have a look from down here, see if it helps. We spin it that way, bring it forward a bit, back a bit. It's okay. We'll put that in for now. That's fine. So we've got a little bit of grass work to do there and around that point, and then that's that section done. We'll just come in here, make sure. I've mentioned this before. If you want more dense grass, zoom in closer. If you want to be more efficient, zoom out. So if I zoom out all the way here and try and run that grass round, it's not going to put it in very thick, is it? It's just a little fringe. If I come in close, it's going to make it a lot denser. So a happy medium to be more efficient and detailed is about there, I'd say. You can get enough grass in without overly doing it. So that's that. 87.9. Let's go surface weathering brush. So we can still fail, but then we'll just have to start deleting some little bits here and there, which is, again, I've thrown so much into the clubhouse area and so many little things around the course that I could save on percentages and you'll barely notice it. As long as my planting's down, that's the main thing I worry about. Let's have a quick look at the tee shot now. All we're going to have is that back right section. The hole still needs to be finalised, as in the playability of it. This bit of fairway needs to be brought round. That's sticking out too far. Oh, fairway 1.9 will do it. Find the edge of the fairway and not the light rough. That'll do for a minute. Oh, it's fine. Bring it up to there. Just add our light rough in. Secondary surface light rough. Make sure that looks right. That's fine. Yeah, so the design of the hole, I mean, I may shrink that green down a bit and then bring up 2 tiers so it's running away from you. Not sure yet. But we can do all that in a minute. I mean, I've got the strategy of the hole that I want to achieve. It's just raising little areas here and there to create what I want to create for the drive and how much it kicks you into that bunker. And if you come here, what sort of kick are you going to get? Is it going to run you off right, or are you going to get onto the green? If you get onto the green, is it going to run you off? Or you've got to give the player a shot because it's a drivable par 4. So let's go back to, we'll just save. I'm getting a lot of crashes when I go to play test the hole. So I do a save literally religiously now on every time before I click play test. I'm not getting crashes at anywhere else other than that. Let's put it on. The wind's irrelevant. Let's put Tiger on. So we want to look at what it looks like off the tee now. Looks like there's an absolute stack of planting. But again, you can't see all those calf paths. How can I say that? Cart paths from the drive, but they're saving me a lot of planting. Everything else is looking fine. Getting all the things we want to see. We can see the bunker there, we can see the pin. That's all looking good. So now all we're going to do now is go back to our other one. So what have we done? 0.8% so far, and we've nearly done the whole hole. I always have trouble with that as well. Cart paths and whole hole. Probably not the best way to say it, is it? Whole hole. Let's do the same process again, but we might break it up a little bit now. So I'm going to come through here. I'll worry about that other side when I'm coming back the other way. I'm going to work on the main part of this ridge up here at the moment, and I'll worry about this side when I'm coming back for this hole. I'll work out what I want to put and where I want to put it there. So we'll do a little bit of breaking up for here. We'll add sort of like bunkery style ones in, a bit like I did for Carnarvon Dunes again. And we can just fill it in with all the planting we'll do around the outside. Doesn't matter how big I make these sort of sand bits. Yeah, it helps if you use sand, not topsoil. Turn up. Let's go back to the sand. Work quickly. How long we got left? 18 minutes. We'll get that done in 18. Hope it's been a help. You can see what I'm doing and understand the point I'm trying to convey. I'm sure you can. What are we doing now? Gotta keep forgetting. Alright, so if we get one in there, dip down a little shape there, in there, and in there. Close. Okay, so we've got that now. Now all I'm going to do is just go to raise, do as a fuzzy shape like that, and just dip those in a little bit so they look kind of like bunkers. They're not really acting as bunkers, but they're just giving you the impression. And it also gives us our higher points as well, doesn't it, for the planting. So make this quite small because I want to leave that little ridge in the middle there. Do that. Okay, that's fine. One thing I didn't do over here, oh, I did that one. Where's there? Was the I didn't do the second bit of terrain painting, did I? Which was the subsoil bit. I find if I don't make it a really big path, it doesn't show up. So I'm making it well above 6 and letting it blend in on its own. And come back round. I can leave it tight to there. I don't want to fill it in, so we'll go to there. Alright, that's that. It's fine. I could run grass all along there, but I don't see the point. They're acting as sort of like bunkers. I've got a bit of topsoil there on the rest of it, so I need to put another bit just to keep it consistent through here. We don't want that size now. That'll do. just run that up to there. That should give us that little border. That's fine, that's fine. And then we're back to our original concept. Just going to save again. Quick sip of coffee and then we'll wrap this little bit up. So you can see that 0.8% so far. So even if I did this with all the other stuff I've done on the hole, even if it took me 2 to 3%, I've now got to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and I've already done a lot of that hole, so maybe 5. 2% would get me there, because I'm going to have about 10 left, or maybe 11 left, so 2 and a bit percent I'm looking at every hole. So that's why I've had to do this. I haven't done it on any previous part of the course, but then it matches up because that part of the course is more wooded and higher up. Dropping down in here, we're getting more sand duny and we're close to the beach. So in the spirit of things, it makes sense. And it's working. It doesn't make the course look completely alien. It's all blended in. So just being efficient like that is the point of the video. Being as efficient as you can, working out your layout, getting it as tight as you can, using other holes, the previous hole, to shape the next hole in terms of planting, leaving little areas less planted and dense where you have to be, but still putting stuff there with fillers like this. You're just gonna create a hell of a lot going on, and so this point there isn't really. We're only looking at 2% for the whole hole. The whole hole, I've done it again. For the for the complete hole. So efficiency is the name of the game. But you can put loads in. That's the whole point. You can make it look like you've done so much work. And really, we've done an hour so far, and we've pretty much planted the whole hole. Oh. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Gotta stop saying that. We've planted the hole. I think would be enough. So once we've done this, all we've got to do is run around our little bit of grass, and then our little bit of subsoil be dirt, and we are good to go. I think we'll finish it off around here because we need to. I'm not sure how much of that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to leave that free because I'm not sure how far I'm going to. Well, I haven't even designed that hole yet, so we don't need to touch that. All we'll do is we'll just bring it down to this point or the edge of here, so and then we'll worry about that other side in a minute. We've already got a good chunk of planting for the right side. If you're looking back, we can tuck a green in here somewhere, and we've already got most of the planting done for it already, so that's the efficiency you get from really managing your hole layouts, getting them nice and tight, and using the previous hole to benefit the next hole. Sure most of you know that, but anyone who doesn't, who's newer to the designing, they're the sort of little tricks you can do to give yourself a good chance. So we've got one more here which I think I'm going to change to that one. Drop that in there, pop that up there. Does it look like close? It's okay. Again, once we've done that, we can just add a tiny little bit of grass, extra grass ones like I did before, the little yellowy sort of orangey grasses in there, and give it a little bit more detail. We don't want to just keep continuing that one, so we'll go back to that. Same shape, but a different texture and colour. Don't know if that benefits. There's a lot of dark here, so we'll add one there. So all I'm doing in that scenario is adding, where I've got the lighter bush, I'll add a darker bush, and where I've got the darker bushes, I'll try and add a lighter bush just to break it up. So that's that. I think I want one more there. We'll use a lighter one because I don't want to make it too dark through that bit. I'm quite happy to leave that there, that's fine. And then we've got one here that needs it. I don't want to bring that too close because I want to be able to see that from the tee. So now we'll just go to our grass. Actually, we'll run in our terrain painting subsoil B dirt quickly. Take that to 6 odd. Run that in. Where have we got to do it? Through here. Okay, let's go. Run that all the way around at the top. There, about there. That's fine. It's sort of, we've lost that sort of bunker look, but it's actually made it quite cool looking. I don't want to use them as bunkers, so I'm happy with that. It's fine. Right, let's start with some grass. We're on 88.1, 88.3 or 5 maybe at the most, hopefully. By the time we've done it, we won't put grass there because I'm not sure what we're doing there. Up here, we'll just run this round. Make sure we've got plenty in here. Some of these are going to be quite steep, so I need to make sure that they're facing that way because they tend to plant a little bit better. And I'm going to run them into the bushes as much as I can on those steeper points so you don't see the roots as much in case there's any protruding. And then we need to change the angle because we just consistently run quite a bit there at one angle, and I want to lower the height a bit. It's a bit high, that some of that. So as you get closer to the hole, you can lower your. I mean, that's another trick, but that's another technique I use. Further away from the hole, I'll make bushes bigger. The closer I get, I'll start minimising them down to the height where if the player does stray into there, he's got a chance of being able to see his shot. Won't always work, but it's a good way of filling it in, isn't it? Because I can make things really big where the player's never going to be playing a shot from, and they'll fill in efficiency. The efficiency of what it's filling in will be really high. Be able to cover a lot of ground, but it still looks like there's a lot of detail there. That's quite cool. I think I just need a little bit coming down here. We've still got to do one little surface weathering hit. That'll do for now. If when I play the course I will just adjust little things as I go. I can either remove bits of grass but that all comes in the polishing stage at the end, which you've seen my video on when I do that. If I need to take little bits out, I'll take little bits out, and we can just add little bits of texture in here and there. A couple of little bushes that are different. Come back to, we'll just put a couple of little grasses in here. I like this grass against the silhouette. It gives it a lovely little look against the really light foggy in the distance there. Just having that grass poking out the top of our shoots again makes it look like there's a hell of a lot of detail going on. There really isn't. We've used our stock grass, we've used 1, 2 and a bush of grasses to achieve that. Come down a bit lower. There is another tree that I'm using for certain things, which is this one, and that is, got that one which are dropping in here and there in certain places, so again against the silhouette that'll look quite cool, say here. I'll raise it up, that gives it another texture of, looks like a nice tall bit of grass running into the corner there. I don't want to overdo it and have the same thing happening over and over, but it should be fine there. And then on this bit I'm going to try Add this one here just to break up all that green a little bit. How well I can get it to look is debatable. But you can see what I'm trying to do. Just break up the green a little bit there. So give or take. Can do one here as well, I think. And then we'll do our surface weathering and we're done. We're on 88.2. So we use 1.1% to do all that work. We've got that hole filled in now. Plenty of detail. Looks pretty cool in that respect. That's subjective, but to me, I'm quite happy with it. Point is, we filled in quite a lot. Achieved a lot with our planting at a very minimal cost. And that's the sort of things that you can do to make it look like you've done a hell of a lot of detail at a very minimal cost. So I hope that's been some help. Let's have a look at our final shot. Same. Got 4 minutes left. Do that. What I might do is I might run that. I might move that fairway back a bit. The top bit sort of back to this hill, and then we'll put some grass in around those bunkers, because I haven't done it on every bunker, but like here for example, we've done it on these bunkers, just giving them that sort of fuzzy extra bit of detail around them. Like I said, we haven't done it on every bunker. There's certain bunkers I haven't done it on the majority, but that's that. What have we got through here? Yeah, that hole. We've used it there. We've used it on the majority of them, but not on all, like the ones next to the green we haven't put them in. So it's working okay. Let's have a look at 16. Just going to save it before I hit that. So looking above now, quickly from the top shot of the course, we have got a lot of cart pass water and now terrain painting that's breaking up all those areas. Now I'm going to put a huge bit of terrain painting of the sand in this, cover up that water there, put all that sand, use the same technique through there and through there. So then that's going to get me all the way up to there, and probably I might be able to get to 90%, and that's going to leave me those 4 holes to finish off on 10%, which is, I should be able to do it, shouldn't I, based on what we've just done. So play hole 16. We'll have a quick play through the whole hole. I've done it again, the whole hole. It's never going to stop, is it? Right. Looks fine. Like I said, when we're doing polishing, we can do any little last touches to it that we might want to change. This hole isn't finished yet, as in terms of my sculpting, so it might kick me into this bunker. That needs to be finished, so when we get down onto the green, we'll see what we've got in terms of detail when we're looking at our putt. All looks quite cool. A couple of little areas that I can just tweak on the polish. Looking back down the hole, looks fine. This side will look better because it's against the coastline and you get all that nicer light through there. But it all looks fine. Just looking at the planting, just making sure it doesn't look odd or weird, or we've got all the little bits that we wanted to get in there. It all looks pretty cool, so that's fine. That planting is fine. We'll do, just see if we can get our putting. Right, thanks everybody for watching. Hope it's been of some help and you understand what I'm trying to convey. Please, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. It's going to keep me really interested in carrying on these tutorials and help the channel grow. So thanks for watching, everybody. Take care, have a good day, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.